What's going on, everybody? Welcome into our midday Packers Q&A, draft day Q&A presented by Luiges Pizza. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get to as many chats as we can over the course of the next hour and a half. Obviously, really fun night last night. Looking forward to a hopefully as exciting day 2 with Packers having picks in round 2 and 3 today. Should be a lot of players out there that I think Green Bay is going to be very interested in. We can kind of go over that as well. As I mentioned, today's show is presented by Luiges Pizza. A huge thank you to Luiges for sponsoring our draft content all weekend long. I unfortunately regret to inform that I did not get, after everything last night, I was not going to do a 3 a.m. Luiges Pizza, although it did sound delicious. I didn't get to do it. So you can bet, you know exactly what, that today, as soon as between this chat and 6 p.m. tonight when we do our live draft show, there will be a Luiges Pizza today. So looking forward to that. I think I'm going to go ultra thin crust pepperoni is my goal today. But if you haven't tried it yet, I saw somebody post, by the way, that they went directly to Woodman's to get a Luiges Pizza, and they're excited to try it out. So Woodman's, you can get at Festival Foods. You can get them a lot of different places in Wisconsin and surrounding states. So if you haven't got it at Luiges Pizza yet, make sure to do so. I know I'm going to do so today. All right, so let's jump into this right away. Like I said, I'll try to get to as many questions as I can over the course of the next hour and a half-ish here. And yeah, we'll start right away. Chicken, please explain to me how the Browns have the 33rd pick instead of the Titans and the 2020 or 22 instead of 23 and yada, yada. John Kramer, I saw, did a great job of explaining this. When teams have the same record, the tiebreaker is strength of schedule, but the next round they switch. So it kind of snake drafts if you kind of look at it that way. So that's why some of it happens that way. Dodgy hamstring is back. I slept through my 1 a.m. UK time alarm. Unfortunately, woke up at 2:30 a.m. to watch your coverage for pick 15 onwards. Looking forward to day 2 today. Hey, dodgy hamstring, double alarms. All right. First one and then another one like 10 minutes later, just in case even if you snooze it twice or whatever, like now you've got double alarms snoozing and going off. And if one you accidentally turn off, then you've got that second one to remind you. So always huge fan of the double alarms. It has saved me at least once already from a missed radio show early at 8 a.m. where I had one alarm set. Somehow I turned it off or slept through it or whatever. Second alarm went off, good to go, just in time, and everything was smooth sailing. So huge fan of the double alarm. John Kramer, I called it the Pickens BS meant round 1 wide receiver. Yeah, that's always a misdirection, right? The Pickens thing never made sense. Speaking of wide receiver trade, though, all right, just a random one-off. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't foresee this happening. I'm not predicting it, anything like that. But just some things, when you do this every single day, different sort of thoughts come into your mind. What if round 2 or 3 today, BPA happened to be a wide receiver? Jack Besh, a Jaden Higgins, a Jalen Noel, something like that, right? Just happened to be the best player available on the board was wide receiver. If they actually took a wide receiver, which again, don't think is going to happen, but if it was best player available and they did double up on wide receiver, I wouldn't be stunned if that scenario happened, which is an unlikely scenario in and of itself. Wouldn't be stunned if there was some Romeo Doubs trade buzz that they potentially look to trade him, knowing that he's probably not going to be back in free agency next year, try to recoup something on day 3 of the draft to get a pick in return, and then are able to go a little bit younger at that position. Again, not expecting it, wouldn't anything more than just weird conjecture in my head. But if they did somehow take another receiver today, not necessarily tomorrow I don't think changes the calculus on anything, but today, if they literally went wide receiver in round 2 or 3 after taking Golden in round 1, I would be on a little bit of Romeo Doubs watch if that would come to fruition. But again, I wouldn't expect that. All right. Obviously, as well, super chats will go to the top of the list. So if you want to make sure that you get your question asked through the course of today's chat, get those super chats in. We'll get to member chats towards the end as well. But in the meantime, I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. All right. Go Pack. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a pick in my lifetime. Who's your number 1 target in rounds 2 and also in round 3? So yeah, we can take a look at our big board presented by Habish and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. I put it together out on social media to kind of look at what it looks like. I'll go over kind of my guys that I want, but in my round 1 group still, that was on my Packers-centric big board. Again, not necessarily my guys or anything, but what I think the Packers might be interested in. Landon Jackson, the defensive end, Will Johnson and Trey Amos, the corners, are still out there in that I had sort of potential round one options on. I didn't think really Landon Jackson or, probably even Trey Amos were really going to potentially be in that conversation, but I couldn't rule them out entirely. Will Johnson actually has the injury issue. So that's the reason that he fell a little bit more. But those three were the ones that I had on that first round line. On the second round line, Travion Henderson at running back, no quarterbacks. Again, I don't think a wide receiver is going to be the situation to go with here. Same thing with running back, to be fair. But Jaden Higgins, Jack Best, Jalen Noel, Jalen Royals, and Trey Harris in that conversation. At tight end, again, not a position I expect, but Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, and Terrence Ferguson. Offensive tackle, Ariante Ursary from Minnesota. Jonah Saivanea from Arizona, Jordan Morgan's old teammate. Wyatt Millam is another option there at interior offensive line. Defensive line, Darius Alexander, Alfred Collins, and TJ Sanders. Edge rusher, Donovan Ezeraku, JT Tuamalu, Braden Swinson, Nick Scorton, or Jordan Birch. Carson Sweshinger at linebacker. Benjamin Morrison, Siobhan Ravel at corner, and Ezra Thomas at corner. And then Nick Emanwari, again, I don't expect a linebacker or safety, but those are players that generally would hit kind of what Green Bay looks for. Those are my first and second round guys. Now, guys that I would love, if Donovan Ezeraku would somehow be the pick for Green Bay, if they were to move up to get him, I would freak the hell out. That would be the most insane thing ever. JT Tuamalu is another one that I really love out of Ohio State. Braden Swinson is another one that I really love out of LSU. So there are three edge rushers I really like that are on the board right now. If they could get any of them, I'd be thrilled. Even Nick Scorton, I think, would be a solid pick. And Jordan Birch, I really like as well. So definitely some edge rushers that are there. Defensive tackle, while it's a very deep class, I do think the next three, Darius Alexander, Alfred Collins, and TJ Sanders, kind of represent what I would consider the guys that could come in and potentially play a little bit more right away. I think there's more developmental guys that you can get, or maybe guys that maybe do one specific thing well, but Alexander, Collins, and Sanders are kind of that next tier. And then I do feel like there is a little bit more of a fall off after that tier of defensive linemen. The corners are so interesting. You've got Trey Amos, who I think is probably going to go off the board pretty quick. And then it's just so much medical on Will Johnson, Benjamin Morrison, and Siobhan Revel. And then you've got Azariah Thomas, who is not injured, but is 20 years old, might take a little bit more time to kind of develop at that position. So those are some of the guys that I'm going to be keeping an extra eye on today. Guys that I would love: Donovan Ezeraku, JT Tuamalo, Braden Swinson, and then Trey Amos would probably be the four that would be very much on the top of my list today as we start looking forward to day 2 and round 2 for Green Bay. Troy, so many amazing options for the Packers going into day 2. My dream would be a combo of Trey Amos and Alfred Collins. I think both of those, one, I think Amos probably goes very quick in this round, and I think him getting to 54 is probably unlikely. Although, again, weirder things have happened. Maybe Green Bay would trade up for him. We'll see, but that would be a great pick for them there. And then Alfred Collins would be more of a big, hulking defensive tackle that I think makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of just meh to his game. Like, you can tell he can be so freaking good. When you watch him on tape, it's just like, it's kind of pedestrian. There's not much there. There's nothing that's really going wrong. There's nothing that's really going great. It's just kind of him never really getting beat, but him never really beating anyone either. It's solid. It's unspectacular. You can't move him, but he's not getting penetration. It's just, he's like Mr. Stalemate. You're not going to move him in the run game. He's probably not going to move you in the pass game. You might as well just take him and the player that he's like, the offensive linemen that are trying to block him, whether it's one or two guys, just take him and move him off the field. They're just going to stalemate for almost the entirety of the game. He is literally Mr. Stalemate. So, he's a good player there. I think there's so much more there for him. If you're looking at potential upside, I think there's so much opportunity for him to become a very good player. But the tape in college was very stalematey. So, not the worst thing in the world, but I think he probably goes in round 2. But if you could get Amos in round 2 and Collins in round 3, man, sign me the hell up, Troy. I would be all over that if possible. John, with several top corners still available, but all with injury concerns, do you think Green Bay will move up in the second if they fall a little bit more, or is the place Scoot tries to get an extra pick? I don't think this is going to be the place. I guess it just depends, right? Like, if he's got, again, 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys at, round 2, where he can move back 4 or 5 picks and still get one of those guys, I think he could definitely look to do that. But I think there's going to be some guys there that he's going to like when he gets on the clock at 54. And I think there might be a little bit more chance that he kind of stays in picks at that spot. So I'm not necessarily expecting a trade back, but Goody, it's not impossible either. As far as the corners go, I think there is a real good chance of corner in round 2. Just depends on, how long these guys last and, if there's one that they really like there. But Azariah Thomas is one that I would keep an extra eye on for Green Bay at some point today. Is there a drop off in talent at the end of round 2, or does it just feel that way because I'm only familiar with the top 40, 50 guys? No, I'm actually pretty impressed with the third rounders in this draft. So I went over the second rounders. Guys in the third round, again, Tyler Shuck at quarterback, not going to be there, probably not what they're going to do. But in the third round, it's probably where you would at least have some conversation, right? Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, and Cam Skedabu at running back. Again, probably not a position they want to take, but third round, that starts getting a little bit more interesting. Again, I'll say it one more time. I don't expect them to go wide receiver here, but Dante Thornton, Ty Felton, Isaac Tesla, Elik Aomanar, and Torrey Horton are all interesting players at wide receiver. I don't really have any tight ends in that round 3 range. Logan Brown is an offensive tackle I love. Would love for them to go after him. Anthony Belton's one that they brought in for a top 30 visit. Marcus Bow is one of my favorite players in this entire draft. He has no idea what he's doing yet. You need so much technical work. But my God, is he fun to watch. He's the right attitude, the right intensity. He's flying all over the place. He looks like he's a streamlined tight end that can get down the field sometimes with the way that he can move. But he's a very fun player. It's going to take some time, but he's got all the right things that you're looking for. Jared Wilson, Tate Ratledge, Emory Jones Jr., Josh Farmer at defensive tackle, along with Omar Norman Lott and CJ West. Some edge rushers like Jack Sawyer, Princely Human Milan, Elijah Roberts, and Kyle Kennard. Linebackers Danny Stutzman and Sam Mondin Jr. And then corners Darian Porter, Noel Williams, and Bahal Cohn. And then Kevin Winston Jr. and Billy Bauman at safety. There's some guys in there that I really, really like, even in the third round. So now I actually think that this is kind of a little bit more of almost like the meat and potatoes of the draft, where early on it's like, hey, we kind of think a lot of these first rounders are really second rounders, but the second rounders look like second rounders and the third rounders kind of look like second rounders. So you kind of go from like pick 15 to like middle of the third round, late third round, where a lot of the guys look very similar. And I think this is where you can really get some value and some starting caliber players in round 2 and round 3 of this year's draft. All right, we'll get back to Killer Kenny here in just a moment. Nicholas, the golden pick means no Watson Dobbs next year. I would be stunned if both of them are back, and I think Dobbs is probably going to be somebody that was gone in 2026 anyway. I would not rule out Watson. And the reason I wouldn't rule out Watson is because I think there's a really decent chance that he only gets back for maybe 4 or 5 games, probably isn't able to prove himself on a very high level. And it just would potentially make sense for both sides for Christian to do kind of a 1-year sort of prove it deal. And now I think that's going to still be like a $7, $8 million, $9 million deal and a 1-year deal, something like that. I don't think it's going to be cheap, but like a 1-year deal in Green Bay. So he can come back with an offense he's familiar with and hopefully go out and have his best season ever, so that in the following season for him, he can go out and get that massive payday. And for Green Bay, if you can get him on that 1-year deal, see what he can bring to you that year, then you can kind of make a long-term decision after that to see if he actually stays healthy for a full year. And if so, then you can kind of look at a longer-term deal. But I think that could make sense for both sides. So if you do get to that point, I could see a world where Watson's back. But no, I don't think it seals anyone's fate in particular. But I don't think both of them will be back. That's for sure. And there's a really good chance that both of them could leave elsewhere. But I would leave a little bit more wiggle room open for Christian Watson to return. R.R. Smith, thank you for the super chat. Golden being selected with our need for a specific type of wide receiver with how it was built up by Murphy. One of my favorite moments ever in my 30 years as a Packer fan. Easy. It was awesome. I mean, I can't tell you guys today how many times I've listened to that video and just, I have goosebumps now saying it out loud. Just goosebumps, chills. You can't have a better moment than that. I have no idea what Matthew Golden, I mean, I like Matthew Golden a ton. I like him a lot. I think this is an awesome pick, but we have no idea what he's going to become, right? The only thing that makes this any better is if Matthew Golden goes out and has a Hall of Fame career, right? The last name Golden is perfect. Him being in Green Bay is perfect. Obviously, the draft being in Green Bay is unbelievable. Mark Murphy getting to announce the pick, how he announced the pick, the fans' reaction, the triple pop at nobody since 2002, then the second one at wide receiver, then the final one, and just the explosion at Matthew Golden. Unbelievable. The scenery, the night, the Lambeau Field in the background, just all of it. Just absolutely all of it. And like I said today on the review show, I think it was one of them, either the review show or the gut reaction. It's almost like being withheld from a first round wide receiver for a billion years made this moment all the more special, because you didn't necessarily think it was going to happen. Would they go wide receiver in round one? And again, it doesn't even necessarily mean that it's the right move, or that there's not somebody taken right after that ends up being way better, et cetera, right? But the draft has become how do I want to say this? The draft has almost become a Super Bowl level event in and of itself. I am not trying to say that winning the draft is akin to winning a Super Bowl. I'm not trying to say of like, hang the banner, we got Matthew Golden, we drafted a wide receiver in round one. That's some Chicago Bears-esque talk, right? I'm not trying to say anything like that. But the draft itself has become an event that is basically almost as watched and as revered and as worshipped and as everything else as the Super Bowl. And it's basically, if the Super Bowl is your WrestleMania, the draft is your SummerSlam, right? It is arguably the second most important day on the entire calendar. And while you can't see on a scoreboard a winner or a loser, every fan at the end of the draft, whether it be round one or day two, or just the draft in totality, has a feel in and of themselves as to whether or not their team won or lost that draft. And every team is involved in it. Every single team, every single fan. The Super Bowl is 2 teams, and we don't usually get our team in that thing, right? The draft is for all 32, and all 32 fan bases get to celebrate what they think is either a win or a loss in the penultimate event of the year. I'm just messing around with the penultimate for those of you here the other day, but no, for the second biggest event of the year. Again, their SummerSlam, if you will. There feels like there are winners and losers, and it feels like everyone's participating, and that's the type of event that it has become. So for Packers fans, that moment was like a win. It was a winning moment. What that becomes, we have no idea. And that's still going to be the most important part of this for the Packers team as a whole. But as a fandom, as a fan of a moment, as a fan of an event, what more could you possibly want than what happened at that moment? And I can't tell you again how much, the goosebumps have been flowing, the vibes have been flowing. And I just want to say one more time, the showmanship of Mark Murphy on how he presented that pick, no stumbling, no like rushing it. If he rushes it, he's like, with the 23rd pick in the NFL draft, the Green Bay Packers select Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. Everyone's still excited, but just even as I read that, right? Like there's not like, it doesn't let the moment breathe. And for him to let that moment breathe and how he presented that step by step, because it was the first one is since, 2002. And obviously there's a huge chunk of that crowd that knows exactly what that means. For a lot of people, that meant nothing, right? But a huge chunk of that crowd knows exactly what that means. And that's like the whatever 50% of the crowd or whoever knows exactly what that means. You heard the pop from them immediately. And then the second one was wide receiver. And then that got everyone, like everyone's now, piqued interest, right? And then to let that moment really breathe. And there's a pregnated pause. Matthew Golden, wide receiver tech, and boom, that unbelievable pop that you got on that third one. And for how he presented that, just A plus stuff. I loved it from Mark Murphy. Unbelievable moment from him. I like the gold jacket that Golden was wearing, but fans won't remember it when he puts on his next one in 20 years. John well said. We'll see what he becomes. Obviously, there's always pressure on the first round pick. I think this is one of those players that it's hard to imagine a world in which he can't help in some way. Now, you can make an argument LVN is helping in some way as a rotational rusher. That's not exactly what you're looking for when you take him in the first round, right? You're looking at this, Matthew Golden pick and hoping that he can, come in and be a star at wide receiver for you. It's going to take a little bit of time. I don't think he's going to come in and be a true, bona fide star from day one, but I think he can help. I think he can provide an element for this offense that's not there right now. I think he's going to catch the ball when it's thrown to him more often than not. And I think he's going to be a really fun player within this Matt LaFleur offense. And I think Matt LaFleur is going to know exactly how to use him. So very, very excited about all of that. All right. Who did I say we're going to leave off with? Creeley? Nope. We talked Creeley. Killer Kenny? I think it was Killer Kenny. All right. Number 0, number 1, number 2 for Golden, or I'm out. Love to Golden. Are you kidding? Or it could be time to unleash the forbidden number 1 Lambo number. You got the field named after you. If not, sorry, number 2 Malik Willis. The number 1, the number thing is interesting. 0 would work. It'd be cool if, like, after never having a wide receiver, drafted in so long, if he's the first one to get number 0 in Green Bay, I could see that. Number 2, I could see for him. Obviously, that's the number that he had. Be a great number. But as far as what number Malik Willis is, then I kind of don't want to see Malik Willis change his number either. I kind of sneaky like number 6. I know McCole Hardman has it. That's not going to be a hard conversation. McCole Hardman's on a 1-year contract. He just got the number. I don't think that's a deal breaker. I think McCole Hardman can move to 16 or 19 or something like that, and it'd be not as much of an issue. I don't hate number 6. I don't really want an 80s number for him. I'm not upset with 2. But again, then you have to figure out a good number for Malik Willis. And, I just don't know that I don't think 16 feels right for Malik Willis. I don't think 19 feels right for Malik Willis. Yeah, so that's a bit more of an interesting one. It's not going to be 1. It's not going to be 5. It's not going to be 15. I did love an idea, though, from Marcus Eversole. Kudos to him for this. Marcus Eversole pitched the idea. Number 5, Paul Hornung. 5 is Hornung. Yeah, 5 is Hornung. Who is retired, or the number is sort of like fake retired, right? It's not officially retired. It's fake retired. But what was Paul Hornung's nickname? The Golden Boy. So now you get a new Golden Boy to wear number 5 and sort of officially unretire that number. I think it would be cool if you could do it with like the cooperation or collaboration of, Paul Hornung's family and things like that, and to do that. But that would be kind of a cool one if you got your new Golden Boy and gave him number 5 and kind of unretired that number. That would be, I think, one that would be awesome. So kudos to Marcus Eversole for that idea. Day 2, all D. Would you be more surprised if Green Bay didn't get a D tackle, D end, or corner tonight? I think corner might be doable day 3, just because I'm not sure the value will match the current picks. Yeah, I would be surprised. I would be most surprised if they didn't take a defensive end tonight, just because I think that there are a lot of defensive ends that fit what they look for. And I think there's going to be some really, really smart options out there. Defensive tackle, I think you kind of have a few of those guys and then it drops off. And then I think getting to day 3, you're going to get a lot of guys that are in that same vicinity. So if they don't get one of the ones right away, I almost think it's more likely that they wait until day 3. And then corner, I'm actually more of a little bit of the belief that, you might have to get one of those 4 or 5 that are left. And then there's kind of a drop off after that as well. So I think just looking at the board, in a perfect world, if you could have it fall the right way, corner in round 2, defensive end in round 3, then maybe even doubling up at defensive tackle on day 3 with a couple offensive linemen and another corner mixed in. That's a pretty good draft to me. I think that you could go about it attacking that way if you wanted to. John, as a Packers fan, I'm happy with what the rest of the division did. Can't believe Minnesota didn't take a trade with what happened in the next 2 picks. Detroit seems a bit of a reach, and Loveland over Warren. The Vikings thing is crazy. I'm very surprised that they didn't either take those 2 number 3s from New York or that number 1 from Atlanta. That would have felt like it made all the sense in the world for Minnesota to do. I would have been sick to my stomach if Minnesota got that future first from Atlanta. So I'm so glad that they didn't do it. Now, Jackson's a good player along the offensive line. I think he is going to be able to come in and make a pretty, sizable impact for them, or at least like a starting caliber impact for them. That he's going to be a plug and play starter, but it's not something that you're ultra concerned about, right? Good player, but you're not feeling like it's going to change the NFC North in any significant way. Tyleik Williams, I think, is a great pick for Detroit. I think he's going to fit in there. The fact that he's going to get to mentor under DJ Reader, he's exactly what they look for on that defensive front. I think it's a good pick, a really good pick, but I will say this. I would have hated a lot more if they got a Donovan Ezeraku or a Mike Green or somebody like that, who all of a sudden is a menace opposite Aiden Hutchinson. That would have given me a hell of a lot more fear. So with those guys on the board, as much as I do like Tyleik Williams, I'll take that over maybe one of those, pass rushers. And then from a Chicago standpoint, I think he's going to be a really good tight end. I really do. But again, the hit rates at tight ends around that area of the draft and your ROI is usually not great. I do think he's going to give them a little bit of that Sam Laporta that, Laporta gave obviously Detroit, and they're obviously kind of bringing that offense over, but I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm very happy that Ashton Genty is not a Chicago Bear, just more because, again, I want to be able to enjoy Ashton Genty. And if he's a Bear, no, it's not going to happen. Right. But yeah, I think overall, you're not super concerned about anything the NFC North did. But I do think you got 3 solid players, 2 players in the trenches, and Jackson and Tyleik Williams, and then a nice little move piece at tight end that's going to be a tough guy to cover. Good route runner, good separator at tight end in Loveland. So good picks, but not anything, like I said, that I'm losing any sleep over. Final question. Looking at the trades for 25-26, are you surprised Goot didn't jump on one, especially with Atlanta offering a 2026 first? Yeah, I just posted about this before I got into the chat. This is the one where I'm kind of wondering a little bit if the draft being in Green Bay factored in to what Goody did. Because, listen, this is here's basically the trade that would have taken place, right? If with Green Bay being at pick 23, it's a little bit different. Green Bay doesn't have an apples to apples 3rd round pick. So with it being 4 picks up, you probably give up your 4th rounder and it probably is equal. And then you don't get that 7th rounder in return. So at its simplest, let's just say this is the case. I think this is probably the case of what Green Bay could have done. They would have to give up pick 23 and their 4th round pick this year. All right. So 23 and their 4th rounder. They would have gotten a 2nd rounder at pick 46 this year. So you're moving from 23 to 46, down 23 spots, and basically trading your 4th rounder this year for a 1st rounder next year. That's what the trade would have been. And again, assuming that's available, assuming they knew it existed, I would assume that they knew it was available. I'm assuming it did exist, but we don't know 100% for sure. But let's say it did. That's a trade that I think would have very much tempted Goody. And I think maybe in another draft that's not in Green Bay, might have tempted him enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to take that 1st round pick from Atlanta. Anytime you get a lottery ticket like that, where if all of a sudden Atlanta, Michael Penix doesn't perform as expected in year 2, or he suffers an injury and they're down a quarterback and all of a sudden they're a 3-14 team, that could be a top 5, top 3, top 1 pick. Like, it probably doesn't end up being that. Their offense probably does well enough with Penix that they're probably around a 500 team. It probably ends up being somewhere around, probably pick 15 to 18, somewhere in that range, maybe 10 to 18. But a couple injuries here or there, and it's a top 5 pick. That's a tantalizing idea to have that pick. And as Packer fans, and you just get to cheer against Atlanta all year as well. That's a fun thing to have. So that, I think that would have been very tempting for Goot. However, a couple things here. Again, in this specific draft, with it being in Green Bay, going from 23 to 46, we're not talking about early round 2 here. I mean, not like 33 or something, or not something that you can easily get back into like pick 31, 32 if you wanted to. I mean, pick 43 is, again, all the picks that just went, 23 picks. Now you've got to basically wait another 23 to get to your draft pick, your 1st draft pick, when the draft is in Green Bay. That's probably a bit of a tough pick to swallow, or a tough pill to swallow, excuse me. And then I think the other thing is that Matthew Golden was there. And I think they really liked the player. I think they really liked the possibilities, what he could bring to the team. Sounds like there was consensus in the room. They were happy that he was there, and they take Matthew Golden. I think that's the right move in that situation. I'm totally cool with it. But that's the one where, if you're wondering, is there any human element, or is there any element of like, hey, we want to take this pick while it's in Green Bay? Maybe, just maybe, passing up on that trade from Atlanta and getting a future 1 would have been one that, if this draft was in Cleveland, Detroit, wherever, I could easily, and I mean easily, see Goody doing that deal. And just to add on top of that too, the one thing that is a factor here too is you're also giving up the 4th. So you're probably going into this draft thinking we're going to get an impact player in the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and probably can find a good player in the 4th. Now it's like, all right, now our 1st round pick is all the way down to pick 43. And now we've got 2 seconds and a 3rd, but we don't even have a 4th round pick. So now you're starting to look at a little bit less capital that can help you kind of in the here and the now. And there is a little bit of, costs on that side as well. Not the worst thing in the world, but it would have been interesting if they did it. That's for sure. I would have been totally cool with it. But I think with Golden on the board and the draft being in Green Bay, I think they ultimately made the right decision. John, Andy, can you post a Google Doc link to your board so we can play along at home? To be honest, John, I don't know that I'm going to have time today with just everything that I have going on, but I will definitely try to do that in the future for future drafts if I remember. So posted the new board out to Twitter so you can at least view it, but I'm not sure that I'm going to get the chance today to put it all in a Google Doc and get it sent out. So my apologies for that, but it is out there over on Twitter and Blue Sky if you want to view it. Harry Cheese. It's a great name. Good morning to you as well. Just get a drink of the kickstart really quick. I will say, I'm at about 6.5 hours of sleep over 2 days. little bit more tired today. Yesterday was pure adrenaline, Pop-Tarts and Mellow Yellow. I was in a great spot. Little bit tougher today, but if worst case scenario, I pass out on the draft show later tonight, Andrew Merteg and Mark Oldacres can take over for me, and I'll just sleep here on camera, I guess. But no, I'll be fine. But little kickstart to get me going. All right. Could the Packers double dip at wide receiver on day 2? And if so, who? I'd be pretty stunned, Harry. I talked about this a little bit earlier, where if they do, I would maybe be a little bit on some Romeo Doubs watch. But I think this is one where it would be pretty surprising if they ultimately went in that direction. So yeah, that's unlikely. If they did, Jack Besh, Trey Higgins would be maybe a couple guys that they would look at. Jalen Noel, Jalen Royals, Trey Harris, any one of those guys would probably be the one, but don't see that happening. All right. At the moment, who would you say is the Packers' primary punt returner? I think they're going to give options there. I think, maybe Nixon is still in the conversation, but I think McCole Hardman and Matthew Golden would probably be the two with, I think right now, McCole Hardman being the leader in the clubhouse, if in fact he does make the team. We were at 1 p.m. Central Time. Noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So we are live here now, Adam. I know that was a while back, but hopefully you're still here. Go Packers. Seems like an upgraded version of Dobbs, to be honest. Are we talking about Golden? I don't really see any of Golden and Dobbs crossover. I think those are two very, very different players. So yeah, I don't see that. But again, everyone has their different kind of opinion of what kind of comp a player is. But I don't really see any Romeo Dobbs in him. Yeah, just talking about this, I don't think so. But who knows? Crazier things have happened. All right, I want to come back to this. I think there might have been a couple super chats. All right, John from Florida, JTT and Noel Williams. That would be a great day. Great day for Green Bay. Love Tuamalu. One of my favorite players in this draft, would immediately come in, I think, and be able to help that pass rush. So sign me up for that. And Noel Williams, I think end of round 3 is a fair evaluation. I probably would give him a little bit more of like a 4th round grade, but he plays physical. He plays tough. He again, kind of does everything the right way. He's got good ball skills. I like his tenacity. I think end of round 3, maybe a little rich, but certainly nothing egregious by any means. I could totally get on board with that selection. Gameboy 36. Hi, Andy. Just wanted to say thank you again for the autograph. It was a pleasure meeting you. And if I could do any scouting stuff for you, let me know. I appreciate that, Gameboy. It's been unbelievable to meet so many of you guys. I had somebody today come up to me from Germany at the radio show. Came to the radio show today and said, I flew in from Germany and I came to see you at the radio show and came to see, the Pack-A-Day podcast. That stuff is just mind-numbing to me, and I appreciate it so much. And I wish I had a lot of stuff going on with the radio show, so I wish I could have interacted a little bit more. If you're listening, I really hope you're going to be able to make it out to the event tomorrow at Titletown Brewery, 6 to 8 p.m. So we can chat a little bit more. I'd love to hear about your trek from Germany. But it's just to see you guys. Some of you have traveled obviously very far to come to the draft, and it's been a really surreal experience. So Gameboy, thanks for coming up, saying hello. Thank you for all the support and for all of you. It's just been very overwhelming in a very positive way. So thank you for everything that you guys do to make this channel what it is and to make really my life what it is, to be honest. Beast Bumblebee. But what does Loveland do that Kmet doesn't? I think, first of all, giving them a 2 tight end set is going to be something that gives them some real optionality in that offense. And I think now, like, they don't have that third wide receiver. So I think this is a package that you're going to see them run with quite a bit, with Adunze and DJ Moore on the outside and Loveland and Kmet at tight end. And then for now, Swift at running back, but we'll see if they take a running back sometime here in day 2. But I think it's going to give them a lot of 12 personnel options. Also, my guess is Kmet, I don't know exactly his contract situation, but my guess is they probably have to address that here at some point coming up. So, he's got 3 years left, but only guaranteed up until this season. So in the next couple seasons, they can get off of it if they want. He's still young enough. They probably keep him around. It's not a bad deal. But I think just giving him a 2 tight end set. I also don't think they're complete apples to apples players as well. I think Cole Kmet is a little bit more vertical, physical, meaning jump ball type. He doesn't separate as well. Loveland is much more of a separator. He is a good route runner. You can play him even a little bit as an outside wide receiver, a big slot wide receiver. You can do some really unique matchup stuff with him. I don't think he's going to be as good as Laporta, but you see a little bit of Laporta in him easily. And, they're trying to create the blueprint of what Detroit did on offense in Chicago. And certainly having a Laporta type character in Loveland is something that I'm sure was very, very enticing for them. All right. Let's see here. Thoughts on Trey Amos? Yeah, I really like him. If they wanted to move up and get him, I wouldn't have been upset, by the way. With Golden there, I would have been a little bit more bummed out. But if you would have said that they took Trey Amos at 23, wouldn't have batted an eye at it. Would have been like, yeah, totally get it. Again, he's one of those players that grew on me a little bit more throughout the process. My first initial reaction was kind of round 2 guy, which he ends up being. But I got to the point even where if like a team did take him at the end of round 1, I wouldn't have had any issue with it whatsoever. The ball skills is what you love, and his ability to knock away passes, intercept the ball. He has no panic at the point of attack. He had a 4.40 time. It doesn't always look like that on tape, but it's a good sign that he at least has that. And this might end up being one of those players that we look back at in 6, 7, 8 years and just be like, in a draft where everyone was wondering why there isn't any top tier talent, how the hell did Trey Amos go on to? I could easily see him being like a Pro Bowl caliber player at some point. So I think some team could get a really good one. I think he probably just ends up being kind of a really solid pro in the NFL. Maybe nothing more than that, but that's still really good value here in the second round. Golden's teammate. Are you talking about Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver? Are you talking about Collins, the defensive tackle? Yeah, there's a couple Texas guys out there, but yeah, if they went Collins in the second round, maybe that's what you're talking about. Since we were talking about that earlier, you could see a Texas 1-2 with Golden in the first round and then Collins in the second round. By the way, shout out to Mark Eckel. I don't want to get into the whole whether or not they should take Mike Green or not. You have your own fun with that. And the player does not usually fit in Green Bay, and not even off-field stuff. Just the height, weight is usually not what Green Bay looks for at defensive end. But shout out to Mark Eckel for realizing that if they took, him, you would have Mike Green and Matthew Golden. You'd literally have Green and Golden would be your 2 picks in the first 2 rounds. So from that standpoint, again, I don't want to get into all the off-field stuff and all that sort of stuff, but from that standpoint, drafting Green and Golden in the first 2 rounds would be pretty ridiculous. Andy, I have some thoughts on round 1 out of 72. I'll wait for all of them. We'll go through them one at a time together. I will. All right. I think a super chat came in. RJ, what's good, Andrew? No heartbreak last night. My heart is full, Andy. My heart is full. RJ, I'm right there with you. Let's hope that round 2 is as good or even better than round 1 was. Start off by trading up for Donovan Ezeraku, and my heart will be fuller than it's ever been ever before. That's not true. My kids and my family, it fills that up a little bit more, but it would, from a football sports standpoint, as full as it's probably ever been. But yeah, that would be amazing. And again, I don't know how you can't be romantic about what happened in Green Bay last night. Just a beautiful scene. And again, like I saw some people be like, first of all, there's the guy that was complaining of like, they're just the same as Jaden Reed. He's not the same as Jaden Reed. Just getting a player like this, how you can't be hopeful at worst. Even if you're like, you know what, there's maybe a couple guys out there that I would have liked more. I don't know how you watch Matthew Golden and aren't like at least excited about the possibility. Nobody knows exactly how he's going to turn out. Nobody knows what he's going to be able to bring to this offense in 2025 and beyond. But how you can't enjoy that moment and how you can't at least be hopeful for what he could become, because there's undeniable talent there. I mean, even if again you're like, I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, but like it could, it legitimately could. There's more positives on his body, like. Dane Brugler, I talked about, there's 5 negatives on the negatives list, and it says no glaring weakness. Like, that's Matthew Golden. There's so much to like about that pick. Excuse me. Voice is starting to get a little scratchy, by the way. We've got this live show tonight, live show tomorrow, and then live Q&A in person. Got to get through a few more of these. Plus, emergency reaction podcast tonight. Here it goes. It's all going downhill. One sec. Plus emergency podcast tonight, podcast for tomorrow, and then podcast for Sunday, and then podcast for Monday. But outside of that, almost nothing left at this point. All right. Thank you for the super chat, RJ. Let's see. Please find a way to get one of the 4 top corners left. This is where it gets interesting, right? Because there's some really good defensive ends and defensive tackles on the board. Like, you can look at this, right? And again, this is all going to be dependent on how this board falls, but you could look at defensive tackle and say Darius Alexander, Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders, and then there's a drop. And there's a good chance that Collins, Sanders, and Alexander are all well gone by round 3. Corner, you could look at it and say Will Johnson, Trey Amos, Benjamin Morrison, Savon Ravel, and Azariah Thomas. Those 5, and then a drop. And there's a good chance that all 5 of those, very good chance that all 5 are gone by round 3. Defensive end, I think there's a better chance with Ezeraku, Tuamalu, Swinson, Scorton, Birch, Jack Sawyer, Princely Umanai, Elijah Roberts, and Kyle Kennard, that maybe one of those guys is still available in round 3. But maybe the best players on the board right now are guys, I think, like Donovan Ezeraku, JT Tuamalu, and Braden Swinson. I think those are 3 the better guys that you could get, period, if you were selecting early in round 2. So you have kind of this corner's about to hit a wall, defensive tackle's about to hit a wall, at least from like the top end guys. And defensive ends, again, maybe the best player there could easily be a defensive end at another position of need, but there might be a little bit more depth there. I think that's where Green Bay is going to have to kind of weigh that out and see. And again, a lot of it's going to just be dependent upon who's available there, but that's going to be kind of the interesting aspect of it. All right, Mike, thank you for the chat. Thanks so much for all the chats over the weekend already, by the way. Appreciate you a ton. I'm very happy, Andy. They did the thing. Wow, it was great meeting you at Hagemeister Park on Wednesday. Was in the Mass Pit last night. Guys, it was epic. It looked epic. I love that for everyone. 205,000 people. Again, the scenes were spectacular. Mike, it was great meeting you in person. And again, thank you so much for all the super chats and just all the support with everything you've done as well. It was great to meet you in person. Space Main, member for 12 months. I want Amos so he can wear number 31. That'd be fun. Just, kind of repeat that jersey. It's worked out in the past. Emmanuel Wilson, though. We got Emmanuel Wilson, right? I don't know that Emmanuel Wilson's going to change the number. So yeah, that's a little bit of an issue, but crazier things have happened. Is there a good number out there for Emmanuel Wilson that he could wear? Oh, wait, what numbers? Oh, no, Emmanuel Wilson's. He's not on the, I was like, what the hell? But Emmanuel Wilson isn't on the active roster because he's still on the exclusive rights list. So yeah, 31 is taken by Wilson. All right, so could Wilson take another number? What number did Emmanuel Wilson wear in college? He wore number 1. And it looks like maybe number 5. Yeah, so neither of those are happening. Yeah, I don't know. 21 is taken by Hobbs, so that's the problem. You don't want him in anything in the 40s. 35 would be weird. 28, 26. Yeah, those would look weird. So I don't know. That'd be interesting, but I feel like what did Trey Amos wear in college? He wore 9? All right, I don't know. Obviously Xavier McKinney is 29. I don't know. I think I would just give like Trey Amos like 26 and keep Emmanuel Wilson at 31. But I get the point. That's not, I know that the point is not that. It's more of like you could just have him be number 31 like Adrian Amos. But still, those are all interesting. Like the number stuff is important. You can't start off with a bad number. It ruins everything. To this day, Darnell Savage not taking 21 Savage, worst decision ever. Completely sealed his fate. Game Boy 36, do you think the Rashid guy is off your back now because of the golden pick? Hey, listen, I love the Rashid, comments, right? I think that was, like I said, I've been a Rashid Walker guy. For those are wondering, at Hagemeister, there was a question as to, or maybe that Rashid Walker is not getting the credit that he deserves and that he should be a long-term Packer. And, my response was just, I really like Rashid Walker. It has a lot more to do with the fact that he's about to get a 18 to 20 million a year contract in free agency next year. You're about to pay Zach Tom like 30 million in free agency next year. I don't think there's going to be the money for both of them. And you know which one it's going to be, right? They're going to keep Zach Tom and move on from Rashid Walker. So not that I don't like Sheed. It's just that he's probably going to get way more paid this next year in free agency than what Green Bay is going to be willing to pay him to retain his services. Spike, thank you for the super chat. like the Spike McCarthy. All right. Nice job giving props to Mark Murphy in your previous video. I think he's done an excellent job as president. Go Pack Go. You know, I don't think there's a ton of negatives in Mark's tenure, right? They've transitioned quarterbacks, you know, a couple of different occasions, which have been insanely important situations for the franchise. You've won a Super Bowl. The hiring of Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur have gone, you know, outside of winning a Super Bowl with them, have gone about as well as possible. The transition from Aaron to Jordan has gone fairly well. But the Titletown District, and I know he gets crap for like the sledding hill thing, but the Titletown District has been a massive success, a massive success. Financially, they're doing incredible, which is, again, huge for the ability to do a bunch of stuff with signing bonuses. You may not think of it that way, but them staying financially solvable and having all the, or soluble, excuse me, and having all the assets that they have and everything like that. We never want to be at a point where Green Bay is like, we're struggling to come up, and it never should get to this point. But trust me, things have been mismanaged worse in the past where you screw up a good thing. So you can have situations like that. He's done an unbelievable job of making sure that their finances are amazing. The Titletown District, again, has been a phenomenal success. He brought a draft to Green Bay. He's won a Super Bowl in his era. Say what you want about maybe some other shortcomings or misgivings. That's a fantastic resume, a fantastic legacy that he has left. I mean, if you would say that when you hired like, if, you know, Ed Policy, okay? If Ed Policy is able to, in his era, develop something new around Titletown that is a unbelievable success, bring a Super Bowl to Green Bay, and have some sort of event that is akin to an NFL draft, maybe it's another NFL draft, or maybe it's a NFL scouting combine or whatever it might be, you know, he's able to do something like that. That's a hell of a successful run. Sign me up. So I think this weekend is a real legacy cementer for Mark Murphy, where I think this is going to be, you know, I don't know how, again, however much credit you want to give a Super Bowl to, you know, whatever, but a Super Bowl in his tenure, but the Titletown District, financially where they are, and this event is a hell of a cap to the end of his tenure in Green Bay. And kudos to him. Love the name Spike McCarthy, by the way. DS Badger 10. I still like 0 for MG. Thanks for all your work giving us content that's actually good. It's very kind of you to say. I'm happy that you guys like it. 0 is cool. I would be totally cool with Matthew Golden wearing number 0. No problem with that whatsoever. It would be cool to have him be the first one. If you're going to break the streak at wide receiver, it feels like you should be able to get that number. So we'll see. Andy, a bit of a pre-draft Madden trade, but I would love your thoughts. Trade Jordan Love to the Titans for Cam Ward and a haul of picks. All right. So first of all, no. Second of all, what you have to remember with Madden trades, that when you get to real life, is that they have real life consequences. And the real life consequence of a Jordan Love trade, as of this point, trade post June 1st, is, well, I guess the most of the guaranteed money is base salary. So I guess theoretically, I was going to say a cut post June 1st is a unbelievable, you know, dead cap hit, 78 million in dead cap hit. But a trade is actually theoretically workable from a salary cap standpoint, which is actually kind of stunning. But no, 0.0% chance that anything like that happens. They're 1,000,000% committed to Jordan Love. And you're not taking a lottery ticket at quarterback and starting over when you're just starting to see the potential fruits of Jordan Love's labor that you've put into for this many years. So no chance. And, you know, it just doesn't really make sense for either side, to be honest. If you're the Titans, you're not ready to compete right now. So giving up a bunch of draft picks and a first round pick that you just took doesn't make sense for them. And it certainly does not make sense for Green Bay. So listen, I love Madden trades. I love outside of the box ideas, but that one is a non-starter from pretty much every angle that you could possibly look at it. All right. If Jair, or if I guess your question, will Jair be traded today? I don't think so. I don't think there's any advantage really to trading Jair anymore this weekend. In order to get picks for this weekend, you're going to have to probably have him pass a physical. And I just don't think that's necessarily going to happen in time. So you're probably not getting any real advantage out of it. So yeah, meaning he's got to go fly to another team, pass a physical. If you did the trade today for a pick tomorrow and you could somehow get him out to that team by tomorrow morning, this is what happened with Randy Moss, by the way. Bill Belichick told a great story about that. But there's some possibility that you could maybe make something like it work. But I think you're probably just better off letting the draft finish and then start calling teams that didn't get corners in the draft, by the way, which is almost all of them at this point, because very few of them actually have gone at this point. But we'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of days, and if they can find a bidder for Jair. What happens with Jalen Ramsey is going to be important too. If they end up having to cut Jalen Ramsey, well, you might as well know that you're going to have to cut Jair Alexander too. So we'll see what kind of happens, but I don't necessarily expect anything this weekend. Still like Higgins. Take Higgins if he is available still in the second round. I'd be pretty shocked and stunned if they went in that direction, but can't say, no for certain. Again, a double up would be interesting. And if they did do that, I think they would go and try to probably trade Romeo Doubs in that situation. All right. What else do we got here? All right. So all in all, sad a lot of the defensive line went before us, but excited to see this offense with Golden and an upgraded offensive line. And Lloyd, I know Goot had to go splash water on his face not to trade back, probably a little bit. But I think you bring up a great point though, Will, is that this is an offense that, knock on wood, has an entirely healthy Jordan Love, is bringing back Marshawn Lloyd. Luke Musgrave barely got to play last year. Matthew Golden is coming into this offense. And then Aaron Banks is going at left guard, and you're upgrading center from Josh Myers to Elton Jenkins. Hello. You've got some real opportunity to, I think, add some real fun stuff to this offense. And they're not done yet. They could still add more to it. So I think there is some real excitement around that. Well said, Will. All right. Also want to give out a shout out to Habish and Rotier for their partnership this weekend. In Green Bay, we know every great team runs on hard work. That's why the attorneys and legal staff at Habish and Rotier bring relentless effort to every case, working for injured clients across the state of Wisconsin every step of the way. With 13 offices across the state, chances are a Habish attorney has helped somebody that you know. When you call Habish, you're going to talk to a lawyer directly. Their number is 800-242-2874 or 800-2HABISH, or find them online at habish.com. Habish and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. Visit habish.com for more information or call 1-800-2HABISH. A huge shout out to Habish and Rotier for partnering with us all throughout draft weekend this week, and cannot thank them enough. Make sure that you are giving them a look if you need a personal injury attorney. Again, habish.com for all of those needs. Shiri, trade up for Ezuraku, and this is a home run draft. I'm all for it. Sign me up. I will take it all day, every day. It would be a home run draft for me as well. I don't expect it to happen, but if they did, I would be beyond thrilled. That 4th and 13 play versus Arizona State, Matthew Golden with inside leverage, full speed, subtle move outside, and then accelerates back inside for the touchdown. Hell of a play. His run last year, if you want to just watch his last 6 games, and it is one hell of a run. It is why he is a first-round pick right now. He went on an unbelievable tear, showed everything that you needed to see, showed proof of concept of what he can be as a wide receiver, and he just took it over. And in big moments, big players make big plays. And Matthew Golden went out and did that. There was an absolute clutch gene to his play in that stretch of games. Should be a run on wide receiver in round 2, pushing the defensive line to 54. That'd be awesome. I hope that is the case. Higgins would be awesome with this wide receiver core. Again, is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? I think very much probably no. My guess is that Johnson and Morrison are off their board entirely with those injuries. It could be, John. Could very well be. So, we'll have to see it. That's the interesting aspect of the corner room is Revel, Morrison, Johnson all have some injury concerns, right? So we'll have to see kind of what order they start going off the board and where they go off the board. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think it could again mean one of them is gone for sure. It could mean both of them are gone, but I don't think any determinations are being made as of yet. Lots can happen. And you could easily still go next year with Dobbs, Watson, Reed, Wicks, and Golden. There's nothing against that. I don't think it's super likely, but it probably seals one of their fates. But I think you could easily still get one of them back if you wanted. And if you wanted both, you could still do that. Don't think Jair gets traded. Nope. Man, if we can get Darius Alexander or TJ, Alexander's a fun player. A little bit older, smaller school, but he would be able to come in and do a lot of things that Green Bay could need at defensive tackle. I would kind of consider like a poor man's Derek Harmon. if you missed on Harman on day one, maybe look at Alexander on day two. Can do a little bit of run stopping like Harman, can do a little bit of pass rushing like Harman. I don't think he's as good at either of them as Harman was, but he's kind of like, again, a little bit of a watered down version, a little bit older, smaller school, but still a really good player, and could easily see him being somebody that they'd be interested in here in round 2. All right. I love Benjamin Morrison. I do too. Here's the thing, Ivan, excuse me. You have 2 hip injuries, one that happened in high school and then another that happened in college. And that double up is going to give teams some real serious fear and trepidation as to how that works. So, and just what his prospects are moving forward. I don't know what that ends up looking like. I don't know where he ends up going, but the medical is what's going to be super important for him here. If teams pass him, he's probably going to go very quickly here in round 2. If not, if teams are all like, stay away, we could see a little bit of a fall here for Morrison. He's a good player, no question about it. I could see Revel falling to us. AI would love Revel or TJ Sanders. Does that mean I would love, or did you actually mean AI? I don't know if you asked, our AI overlords. And Birch or Swinson in round 3. I'd be surprised a little bit if Swinson got there in round 3. Birch could easily be the pick in round 3. And I think Revel or Sanders could both be the pick, or either one of them could be the pick in round 2. So I'm all for the guys that you like here, J. Cole. If they took any of those guys in any sort of order, I would be all for. Sign me up for any 2 of those in the rounds 2 and 3 here. All right. Murphy predicted we trade back twice and up once this morning. Interesting. I didn't hear that. That's a very interesting note. Birch is the most intriguing to me. 6'6", 295, really fun player. Just giving you my notes really quick here on Birch. Where did it go? I think his official numbers were 6'4", 279 for Birch, but maybe I wrote it down wrong, but I think it was 6'4", 279. 4'6", 740, great size and length, immediate flashes of quickness and power, raw natural power, actually finds ways to bend the edge a little bit. Played him inside as a 3-4 defensive end, stout at the point of attack in run defense, projects as a strong run defender as a defensive end in a 4-3, doesn't have elite speed or chase down plays from behind, only 34 pressures, but had 10 sacks, and really can play with remarkable strength. I really liked him quite a bit. Think he'd be a very fun player in round 3. Very impressive that Golden could go from an air raid offense going against crackerjack Big 12 defenses to being the number 1 wide receiver at a top school playing a pro-style system going against SEC defenses. I think the fact that he had success at both places is a very good sign. And the fact that he can play all 3 of the wide receiver positions is a very good sign as well. Those are definitely things that I'm sure were very enticing for Green Bay. Not going to read that one, SDN. I'm going to stay away from that one. Gotta love football turning us into kids again. What more could you want? The nostalgia is real. The little do or the NFL Network one, like you just get the flashbacks of all the different drafts that you've thought of through the Pack-A-Day radio show. All for like the past 3 weeks, I've played. The intro has been a different draft pick that Green Bay's made. So Randall Cobb and Brian Bulaga and Jordan Love and Evan Williams and Javon Bullard and Edrin Cooper and there's all these different guys, and you just get these, sort of. I think I got BJ Raji's in there as well. So many really fun ones. It was just fun to listen back to the call of like with the so-and-so pick and the whatever draft, the Green Bay Packers select, and having these, kind of legends be played back was kind of a fun exercise to go through. I really enjoyed that. Let's see. I would be happy if we had only 3 1,000-yard seasons in 8 years, as long as he is a good piece. Yeah, I'm not so concerned about the yardage, the numbers, or anything like that. I want him to just be a really good wide receiver on the outside or wherever he's lined up for Green Bay. I think he has the ability to do that. If you're spreading the ball between Reed and, Golden and Wicks or whoever it might be, Tucker Kraft, Josh Jacobs, that's awesome. I don't necessarily care what the end numbers are. I just want as many weapons as you can to go out and beat the other team, that you added a brand new fun weapon in Matthew Golden to beat the team across from you. And I think he's really going to help. Who do you want them to get in the second round? Donovan Ezeraku. Again, don't think it's going to happen, but Trey Amos would be really fun. My guy, Braden Swinson is a huge fan of his. JT Tuamalu. I'd be fine with the defensive tackles, Alexander Collins or TJ Sanders. I probably like Alexander and Collins just a little bit better there. This is a not going to probably happen one. Ariante Ursary, and I'm probably saying that name wrong, so my apologies. But the offensive tackle from Minnesota, I love him. I absolutely love him. I think he's a really fun offensive tackle. I think he can be a really good player in this league. I don't think they necessarily need to go in that direction, or maybe is it the direction that they should go in. but I really like him. Elijah Arroyo, same thing. Love him at tight end. He, I think, could be a very fun move piece within this offense. You kind of have, you're hoping that Musgrave can be that a little bit more, and you don't really need the tight end, but I'd be all for that. Jack Besh, same thing. You just drafted a wide receiver, but I would be head over heels with that as well. Trey Amos is in that conversation. So lots of guys out there that I think would be very, very fun for Green Bay. I think they're in a good spot right now. Andy, it was nice to meet you, sir, and thank you for the autograph. You're more than welcome. I think you did a super chat on that as well. So sorry I didn't get to this one earlier. We're getting a D tackle and one of their either corner or edge, 100%. Lock it in. Don't even need to watch. Well, you need to watch because you need to know which one it is, Sam. And you still get to celebrate once you get to brag that you were right. So, here's the thing. I think it could be cornerback and edge, and I think they could wait defensive tackle until day 3. I think it could go in that direction as well. So there's a few different directions that this could go, Sam. And what do they do in round 3? I've been saying it all week. They get frisky, get a little bit, they get a little bit naughty in round 3. They feel a little bit bad. You're like, hey, we kind of ate our meat and potatoes in round 1 and 2. We're going to mess around a little bit in round 3. We're going to take a Richard Rodgers. We're going to take a Kyrie Thornton. We're going to take a second tight end after taking a tight end in round 2. We're going to be bad a little bit. We're going to take Tyron Hopper in round 3. We're going to take, there's so many guys. Darnell Washington, if you guys remember that back in the day. Green Bay gets weird in the 3rd round. Things get funky. Things get crazy. So embrace the funk. Hopefully they do it in a good way this year. Cam Scatterbo, that would be the way to embrace the funk in round 3. Do you need a running back? No. Should it be Cam Scatterbo? Yes. Is it Cam Scatterbo? It somehow is. Does he make any sense in round 3? No. But guess what? Weird shit happens. Weird stuff happens in round 3. So who knows? Who the hell knows? Green Bay in round 3, a little bit weird. Now everything's on the table at that point. Is there any position or anything guesswork that I could do as scouting for Pack a Day? Probably not anything off the top of my head, Game Boy. One of the things that allows me to do what I do is that, I have to do it myself. I can read a lot of Dane Brugler's scouting reports, but that doesn't do anything, other than what anyone else can do, right? So I could read your scouting reports. I could do some stuff like that. But if I don't go and watch the tape myself, then I'm just, kind of leaning on the work of others. And I want to be able to have vision on it myself and kind of come to my own determinations on stuff. So I don't think so. If I think of things, I'll definitely keep you in mind. But every now and again, there's stuff that I will post out there of opportunities for people. So just kind of keep out there. I don't have anything at the moment, but whether it be a podcasting opportunity or whether it be something that I could use help with, I will post stuff out there from time to time. But as of right now, nothing off the top of my head, but I appreciate the offer. If you were coach, what would your ideal offense look like in 2025? Scheme, identity, usage of players, etc. John, I will be totally frank with you. I am not a football coach. I'm a soccer coach. I love coaching soccer. I can do X's and O's with soccer all day long. I can do some X's and O's with football, obviously, and I know how to evaluate X's and O's, but to start to put together a playbook or a scheme or how you want to, operate an NFL offense and things like that, I like the GM side of things more than the coach side of things. So if I were to do, again, neither are ever going to happen, but if I were to do something, I like the GM side more than I like the coach side from a football standpoint. So my first thing I would do as head coach, if I were head coach of the team, is hire very, very smart assistants at a defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, assistant head coach and special teams coach, because my offensive guy is going to design my offense. My defensive guy is going to design my defense. My special teams guy is going to design my special teams. I'm just going to make sure that we're using our timeouts correctly, our challenges correctly, that everyone is understanding of what our processes and procedures are. And everyone else is going to run their own version of what they were brought in to run. But I'm going to be more of the figurehead than I'm going to be the play designer in some of those situations. And I'm going to bring Dusty Evely on to be my special play designer as well. Both Landon Jackson and JTT are available at 54. Which one do they take? Or do they take the best D tackle available? I think they would take Landon Jackson. I would love JTT. I could easily see them liking JTT. I could easily see them liking the top defensive tackle if an Alexander or an Alfred Collins or, TJ Sanders, one of those guys is there as well. So I wish I could tell you, but I think all of those guys that you mentioned, the 2 defensive ends or the top 3 defensive tackles, all could be in play for them at 54, assuming they are there. Beast, I don't think so, but we'll see. Wide receiver Kyle Williams, 2nd round pick. Let's build the offensive power. Don't think so either. Hey, let's get weird. 3rd round. 3rd round's where they get weird. You're probably not going to get weird in the 2nd round. 3rd round. 8 for Willis. Jacobs back to 28. Too much logistics. I don't like it. Keep Jacobs at 8. Yeah, we just got too much movement there. I like the ideas, but I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with number 2 for Willis, and I'm gonna go 5 or 0. Some taboo numbers for Green Bay for Matthew Golden. Why do I feel like the Bears will draft Higgins? You know who's been mocked to the Bears all day today by almost everyone? Donovan Ezeraku. They're going to break your heart in that way. It's not going to be Higgins. They're going to get one of my favorite defensive ends in this draft somehow in the second round. That's what I'm hoping to avoid today. Number 5, it is Golden Boy. It works. It works. Shout out to Marcus Eversole. I'm from Brazil and a huge Packers fan. Just here to say thank you for your job, Rodrigo. I appreciate that a ton. Again, I've said it so many times already. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I see the comments, I see the likes, I see the numbers, the 625 people that are here right now. I do not take that for granted. It means the world to me. And thank you guys so incredibly much. And I really do appreciate all the kind words. There are days where it's a grind. There are days when there's more negative comments than positives. There are days where last night, I'll be honest, I was 2 a.m. and I hadn't recorded today's podcast yet. You have no idea how much I just wanted to be like, you just go to bed. I could just go to bed right now. And I'm like, you know what? No, I got one more in me. I can do the podcast. I'll go to bed right after. Woke up for the radio show this morning. It's like I said, it's everything I've ever wanted. We'll sleep here in the coming weeks. We'll do some catch up for sure. But I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the incredible support. It legitimately means the world to me. All right. Just rewatched our playoff game. And our defense definitely held its own against a team that destroyed multiple other teams in the playoffs. Returning the players we did, I'm content with whatever we add. Still think there's opportunities, right? Getting after the quarterback and Jalen Hurts against good offensive line. Think there's opportunities there. Defending in the secondary, you're going against some really good offenses with, in Philly, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. In Minnesota, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. In Detroit, Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even in the division in Chicago, you've got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. In Tampa, you've now got Godwin, Evans, and Igbuka at wide receiver. In Tampa, you've got obviously a Puka Nacua with the Rams. Terry McLaurin has given them fits in the past with Washington. So you've got some teams with some very good wide receivers in this conference. And you're going to always need more secondary. So I could never have enough there. I'm with you for the most part that I think they have the pieces that they need. And Jeff Hafley showed he can run a very successful defense. Also remember too, teams now have Jeff Hafley on tape for a full season. They're going to have a little bit more to go off of. Now, I think Jeff Hafley's going to be creative enough to reinvent himself. And, when you think he's going to go left, he's going to go right. He's a very smart dude, but we'll see if that plays a little bit of a factor as well. But more pass rush, more coverage. I will never say no to that. Poor Scouser Tommy, I am very well. Thank you so much for checking out on me, but I'm doing great. If ever you get to draft day, whatever day it is, and I say, I'm fine, it's going fine, I'm doing okay, then something's very, very wrong. Something has gone terribly wrong. If I'm not thrilled on draft day, we've got some real potential issues. And of course, what makes me most thrilled on draft day, the most beautiful segue I've ever had in the history of Pack-A-Day podcasts, is my Luige's Pizza. Cannot stress it enough. I am getting one today. Ultra thin crust pepperoni. If you haven't tried Luige's yet, get to your local grocer. Get one. Pick one out today. Whatever your favorite toppings are, they have it. Supreme, breakfast, pepperoni and sausage. They've got like one with like 17 different meats. That's not true. It's like 3 or 4. But they have everything that you could possibly want. And all of them are amazing. I haven't tried the one with black olives because I refuse to do that. I'm sorry. I hate black olives. But every other one I've tried, every other one has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure if you like black olives, that one's going to hit the spot as well. But what's wrong with you as a person that you like black olives? You need to reevaluate your life. But no, I can't say enough about Luige's Pizza. Go get one. Make it your draft day routine moving forward. Your Packers Victory Monday routine, your Victory Pizza. It is well worth it. Check them out. Luige's Frozen Pizza. Love to have traded down, gotten more picks. I just don't think you could have passed on that moment. It'll go down in history, especially if Golden turns out to be a star. What an amazing moment. I'm right there with you, Arian. That would go against Goot's sense of urgency speech. Yeah, you could argue the trade I'm sure we're talking about there. I know. So I'm going to get to members chats now, just because I know we've probably got only about 20 minutes left. And I know I'm only here I'm at 12:28 in the chats and we're at 1:10. So I know there's a lot more here. So I'm going to get to some member chats here. If Golden does end up being a star, he will probably go down as one of the most liked Packers ever, and that moment will be legendary. I think the moment's going to be legendary no matter what, but I'm right there with you that if he ends up being amazing, it's going to be epic. What did Aaron say? I hope Rodgers feels spited. I don't know why we're even talking about Rodgers. Like, there's no need to, right? Everything went great for Green Bay. He gets to do whatever he wants to do. We can just ignore what's ever going on with Aaron. I know, just weird to wish stuff like on a person you don't know. Okay, we can get past this. Goot needs to move up early second. They need talent now. I just think Gary, that they're going to be able to get talent now. Oh, look at this. That's cool. I think they're going to be able to get talent now by staying at 54. I think there's going to be guys that they could really use that are still going to be on the clock. Warren Moon just surprised Cam Ward by giving him permission to wear his retired number 1 jersey for the Titans. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. All right. Let's see. Let's get to our members chats here. I think that this is a huge offseason to support the growth of Jay Love. I'm totally with you on that. Watson and Golden will be so much fun to watch. I just don't know how much we're going to get of it, right? Assuming Golden stays healthy throughout the course of the year, Watson comes back, week 14, 15, you get, probably 20 snaps a game from Watson. You might not end up with them on the field a ton because you want to give, when Watson's not out there, you want to probably save those reps so that you have Golden out there. I hope we get it. And then we don't know if Watson's going to be back next year. So on paper, in theory, it looks awesome. But, I think the first thing is getting Watson healthy and then figuring out if you can get those guys playing together on the field together. He says he's not. So I'll just put it that way. He said that it was more about, I don't know, either Matthew Golden or wanting to go defense or whatever. He said that they were very interested. Like they thought Ted McMillan would have been a great pick and that other wide receivers they were okay with. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I think the ultimate answer to this is it does not matter. Wesley Sipes, a lot's been said about his speed, but would you consider Golden as one of the most agile receivers in this year's draft class with his ability to juke out defenders on routes? I wouldn't quite go that far. I mean, Luther Burden has a little bit more of that for sure. But to me, he's one of those guys that's kind of good at everything. Can he juke out people? Yes. The play against Maxwell Harrison that you might have seen out there where he jukes him out in the open field and then runs past him. That's a very fun play. I don't think, again, he's this guy that's going to just juke everyone and break ankles and everything like that. But he's a little bit more subtle with it. But that's not the worst thing in the world in the NFL either. A lot of times just a nice little subtle juke to get people off balance and then go in the opposite direction, especially when you've got 4.28 40 speed. That can be all you need. So I think he's good in the open field with making people miss. He's got great speed, good hands, good run after the catch. He does a little bit of everything well. So I don't know if there's anything, again, outside of his speed that's like, oh my God, look at this. But everything he does pretty darn well. And I think that makes for a very well-rounded wide receiver. Andy LFG, Golden is a Packer. I love it. John Robert May's reaction to the Golden pick was awesome. He was so excited from a journalistic standpoint and horrified from a Bears standpoint. I love Robert Mays. He does such a fantastic job. And I don't listen to him enough, and I should definitely listen to him more. Mike Green and Matthew Golden are meant to be Packers. It could potentially be Green and Golden. Again, the off-field stuff and the size and weight are going to be, or height and weight are going to be what's an issue for Green getting to Green Bay. What round 2-3 nose tackles are there? Yeah, we talked about this a little bit, but today, Darius Alexander, Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders in that round 2 range, Joshua Farmer, Omar Norman Lott, and CJ West in that round 3 range for defensive tackles. Nose tackles, it's probably more, if you're just looking at nose tackles, really keep an eye out for Alfred Collins today. CJ West is technically that as well, but he's 6'1" with shorter arms. I don't quite think he's going to be Green Bay's type, but I couldn't really take him off the board either. But if you really want a nose tackle, I would look he can do other stuff too, but I would look a little bit more at Alfred Collins for his size for a player like that. All right. Shedeur will be the least surprising round 2 pick one ever. It certainly seems like it's heading that direction. I haven't looked at the odds of anything today or anything like that, but would not stun me if that was the selection. JTT and Ty Robinson, rounds 2 and 3. Okay, I could see that. I want to get to these super chats. Most Hated Minnesotan giving out 5 Pack-A-Day memberships. Thank you so much for that. MHM. Kelmel olives, good. Green olives, great. Black olives, nasty crap. All olives are terrible, my friend. All are just garbage, garbage, garbage. A true vomit-inducing type of food. Mayo and olives are my 2. I could vomit thinking of it. Just gross stuff. Ian, thank you for the super chat. Incredible work and effort with all the stuff you're doing this week, and we all appreciate it. Have you checked out Tyrion Ingram Dawkins at all? Freak athlete, Project Edge from Georgia. Sound Packersy. I have not. Again, it is painful for me, to be honest. You have no idea how much it eats me up inside and bothers me that I don't have 400 draft profiles done in completion and can talk about all of these guys. It sucks. I hate every second of it. I want to know all of these guys in and out. And there's just so much time in the day. And with everything that I'm doing, I can only get to so many, and I can't half-ass the ones that I'm doing. So I got through a lot of the Packersy guys. I got through the vast majority of the top 100 boards. I got through the guys that I really wanted to get through, but we're going to get into probably some guys on day 2 today that I just hadn't had the opportunity to watch because I didn't think they were Packersy type players. I will be in round 2 for sure. I think Green Bay will take somebody that I for sure have watched. Round 3 again, because they get a little frisky. You never quite know, but I feel pretty confident I'll have probably at least watched a little bit of them. But day 3 is going to be a lot different. And like I said, it kills me. It breaks my heart. I wish I had all of these guys known down to a science, but there apparently are limits to what I can do from a knowledge base in Packers standpoint. So I do always have to remind myself, as much as I want to be A+ with draft stuff, it has to be Packers first. And when it's putting Packers first, I don't really get into draft stuff until, really kind of free agency stuff is kind of wrapped up. And there's only so much that I can get to during the course of that time, because I'm so focused in on giving you guys a new episode every day of Packers related content, 365 days a year. So just a little bit different. It kills me. I hate it, but it is what it is. And we roll with the punches. And the cool part is I will get to break down all of these guys in great detail on our deep dives coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks. And for some of those guys that I haven't watched yet, it is really going to be a Christmas gift, because I'll be unwrapping it for the first time and have not had much interaction with them from a tape standpoint. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And you guys will get my raw, reactions to those players as soon as I get into the deep dives and get to watch them for the first time. Appreciate the super chat, Ian. If we take Amos, he can take 31. All right. Again, I understand it. I'm assuming this is Watson's. I'm assuming you mean last year. Again, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but it is definitely a possibility. I believe the NFL Draft Illuminati has confirmed that pure traits are behind pure athleticism in the mix of both. I'm not exactly sure what that means, Game Boy, but I will take your word for it. Just use AI clone of your voice. No, thanks. I'm good for now. We're not there yet. I'm open to taking shortcuts on certain things. This is definitely not one of them. Matt, I'm reading this because VJ is agreeing with Matt. Matt says, I'd argue that in terms of need, defensive tackle is actually the most need. I think Green Bay thinks cornerback is a need, but not as much as the fans do. And I realize they need to get better at pass rush, but maybe not desperate. Defensive tackle is the most need because they need a run stopper. That's kind of the big one, right? So that's kind of the big one, is that they haven't replaced TJ Slayton, and they definitely need to kind of get after that a little bit if they want to make sure that they have somebody there that can be a run stopper. Don't fret. They are going to get, I think, probably 2 defensive tackles, or at least one that they feel really good about some point in this draft. It is a very deep defensive tackle draft. It was yesterday too, but they felt Golden was special, which he might be. That's the hope. Fingers crossed. Did you see the sexy video that Tyler Brook tweeted last night? I did not. I'm going to have to go and check that out. I'm going to have to go check that out. Maybe I don't want to. Props to Quinn Ewers for sucking enough to have Golden fall. Listen, I hope the best for Quinn Ewers. There were some throws on tape that just made you go, what is happening right now? Where it should have been some huge completions to Golden, and it was just some terrible throws. So if Jordan can get him those balls, which I think he will, that's going to be a huge difference maker for Matthew Golden. He's going to be in 7th heaven with Jordan throwing him the ball instead of Quinn Ewers. Josh signing with the Vikings on Monday. Well, they obviously have to release him first, but sure, I could easily see it happening if he gets released. When Jordan Love is at his best, he is a top 5 quarterback. I could get there as well. Don't forget your beer to shotgun for tonight's stream, Andy. Yeah, we'll see about that. I think Packers should move up for a top edge rusher in round 2. Ben, you're speaking my language. If they could get Donovan Ezeraku, I would be all over that. I would be thrilled. Don't see it happening, but I'd be thrilled. Also, maybe one that's a little bit more potentially likely is Braden Swinson or JT Tuamalo. That is, those are two players that I absolutely love. And I would be thrilled with at this point in the draft as well. Andy, would you say you've gotten better at evaluating college players in the last 10 years just through experience? Great channel in Packerland. Absolutely. You learn things every year. I'll be better next year than I was this year. I'll be better the year after that, the next year. Every single year you do this, you learn more things, and you learn from your mistakes. You learn what players you thought were going to be good and were not, and what you missed with those. You go back and look at what you missed, and you get better every single time. I've learned a lot of lessons through scouting different players and having hot takes. And I mean, the biggest lesson that you can learn is that you're not going to be right on everything, and you have to continue to figure out ways to evolve and get better as an evaluator. And the other thing too, one of the things that I think is one of the most under talked about aspects of this, LVN is a great example of this. LVN's a phenomenal example of this. Let's say LVN goes on to be a complete and utter bust. Okay. Let's say he doesn't do anything this year, ends up getting released and flames out of the league and just does nothing. Okay. Total, complete, and utter bust. People will go back and say that, look at the terrible evaluation that Green Bay made of Luiges Van Ness when they selected him. Luiges Van Ness, as a prospect, was a first round top 20 player every single time. Every single time. He didn't turn out in this theoretical situation. He didn't turn out. But there is a reason why everyone and their mom had him as a first round draft choice. There's a reason why if Green Bay did not take him, New England was reportedly going to, and why they moved down immediately after that. There's a reason why everyone in their draft guides had him as a no doubt first round pick, top 20 guy, almost from everyone. The evaluation on him was rather easy. You saw the height, weight, speed. You saw the athletic profile. You saw what he did in college. His really good plays were really freaking good. He played at a big time school. Like the eval was a relatively easy one. It really was. Like there was zero question of him being a first rounder. I mean, none. Absolutely none. It ends up being wrong. You got the wrong answer in the end. If in this, again, this hypothetical situation, but if that exact same player comes along next year in the draft, after he completely flames out of the league, that exact same prototype player will be a first round pick next year again. Because, just because LVN didn't work out doesn't mean the next guy will not. You're going to miss on players. Players are not going to succeed the way that you hoped. It is a full encompassing scouting report. And just because they have everything that you look for doesn't mean that they're going to ultimately put it together in the NFL. Some guys do. Some guys that are seventh round undrafted free agents. And by the way, it's sort of the same thing. Go look at Brady. Go look. There's a reason that Brady was a 6th round pick. Nobody in their right mind should have taken Tom Brady anything above. Did you see that the scouting combine picture of him? I mean, if you said that was a guy that was playing crappy pickup basketball at the YMCA down the street, or if he was the guy that was attending or going to be a draft pick in the NFL, you probably would have been saying more likely that he was the guy playing pickup ball down the street. There was a reason why he went in the 6th round. It wasn't the wrong eval by everyone. Like that was it. That was also not a tough one of like, yep. Clearly should, if anyone would have taken Tom Brady in the 1st round of that draft, I mean, it arguably would have almost been like a fireable offense. It would be like taking Quinn Ewers in the first, like with the, first pick this year. So like, that's what it would have been the equivalent of. You can't predict those bends down the road. That's why when we talk about this being an inexact science that's one of the things of like, you can look back and say, yeah, that pick didn't work out. LVN was a 1st round pick for a reason and should have been a 1st round pick. He just, if it comes to fruition that he doesn't turn out, he doesn't turn out. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick and was a 6th round pick for a reason. If you take every player that looks like Tom Brady and threw like Tom Brady in college and start taking them in the 1st round, you are going to end up with 1,000 busts and one Tom Brady. And all the guys that drafted those 1,000 busts in the 1st round are going to be out of jobs every single time. And if you take every player that has the athletic profile of an LVN and pass on them every time and let somebody else get them, that other team more often than not is going to get a steal of a player because you were willing to pass on that athletic profile and that overall scouting profile. So this is why this thing is so freaking tough. And just because a player, didn't turn out doesn't mean that the eval was wrong. It just means that the player did not turn out in the NFL and did not make that transition the way that you were hoping for what could be a variety of different reasons, whether it's injuries, whether it's getting off to a not a strong start when you come to the NFL, whether it's scheme, whether it's coaching staff, whether it's who knows what. There's so many things that can go wrong, but the scouting profiles are what they are for a reason. And there's a lot of really smart people that spend so much time on it. And just because it ends up in a bad result doesn't mean that the math wasn't good along the way. Just ends up not being the right answer to the or not the solution that you wanted, unfortunately, in the end. All right. That's not always the case, by the way. It's not always the case. There are certainly some bad evals in early rounds, and teams certainly get some stuff wrong. I'm not saying teams and scouts are infallible by any means, but more often than not, like there's a lot of reasons that these players are either exceptions or that you're not betting on a player to become a sort of all-pro player. You certainly you do your homework based on historical trends, but yeah, that's my spiel. The moments prior to the pick demonstrates your passion and love for the pack and what you do. I laughed with joy. I appreciate that, Bill. It's always one of those things where I kind of try to pick my spots of where I want to be analytical, where I want to be maybe a little bit more, let my personality shine through, where I just want to be, again, more serious, or, let the guests do the talking. There's always a little bit of a balance. I'm sure I don't always get it right, but I do sometimes just enjoy the live Q&As a little bit more, where it's more one-on-one, where I think maybe the personality comes through just a little bit more in some of those situations. Clay Matthews' speech is one of my greatest Packers memories. I love him for that. As the Bears still suck moment was a awesome one as well. The only thing that maybe would have been cooler, and again, this is nitpicking or whatever, is if that the Packers, like, that was at pick 32. Just if that would have been the bookend, where the start of the draft would have been Clay Matthews and then the end would have been Mark Murphy at pick 32. Even better if it was because they won the Super Bowl last year. That would have been very nice as well. But if they were at pick 32, got Matthew Golden there, and that was like the perfect end cap of the night, that maybe would have been the only thing that would have been cooler, because as soon as Golden was taken at 23, it was like, I don't know, whatever happens the rest of this first round doesn't even matter anymore. But it was such an awesome night. Such an awesome night. Weird stuff does happen. That is for sure. I feel like the Packers will move back in round 2 or 3 to pick up a couple picks. Very easily could be the case. Hit the like button. Appreciate that, Sapkui. All right, that was still a very young team last year. They are only going to get better this year. I totally agree. What number do we pick tonight? Oh, 54. I didn't know if there was I thought we were still in the number conversation of what Matthew Golden should wear. I'm like, he should not wear 54. That is a very bad idea. Go Pack, go. Appreciate you, most hated Minnesotan. Thanks so much for being here. 6 p.m. Central Time, Samantha. And we'll be here doing the live show, getting you all things covered tonight. Andrew Merteg is going to be there. Mark Oldacres is going to be here. I think Justice is going to stop by. I think Tyler Brooks is going to stop by. I believe Maggie Loney is going to stop by for a little bit as well. So we should have a really fun group of people tonight. Would you rather have done the Giants deal to move down to 33 or stay and get Golden? Probably stay and get Golden in that situation. I wouldn't have hated it. I think, again, maybe the draft being in Green Bay influences that a little bit as well, but probably would have gone with Golden in that situation. It looks like Helston is a new member thanks to Most Hated Minnesotan. That's awesome. All right. VJ, they are switching their body type to 3 techniques, so slightly smaller and faster. Maybe. Let's see. We have not seen literally any defensive lineman and or tackle added in the Jeff Hafley era yet, other than some really back of the roster guys. So we don't know for sure. We're gonna have to kind of wait and see how they kind of attack this through the remainder of this draft. And if they do sign any free agents later, value free agents or anything, they've yet to bring in a single defensive end or tackle in the Jeff Hafley era. Andy, I'm looking for a good pizza to try at home. Got any brands you would recommend? Funny you should say that. I'm serious, guys. Check out Luigi's. Olives are amazing and healthy. VJ, where's my block button? VJ's blocked forever. Banned, banished. Sorry, you have to go to Locked On Packers now. Those are the rules. If you like, if you say olives are amazing and healthy, you're banished to Peter Bukowski. I love you, Peter. I'm just messing. J. Cole, Ian, I can see us drafting him on day 3. Who are we talking about here? Oh, Tyron Ingram, Dawkins. Gotcha. What about olives dipped in mayo? No. This is one of those. There is one thing, by the way, that 2 negatives make a positive. There is one thing. Olives and mayo is not one of them. I hate any sort of vinaigrettes, salad dressings, vinegar, all of it. Just the balsamic, all god awful stuff. I absolutely do not like raspberries. Raspberry is like the actual raspberries themselves, terrible. Like raspberry jam is okay, but I hate raspberries. Raspberry vinaigrette, freaking awesome. Try explaining that one. I can't. I have no idea. Why are my taste buds the way that they are? Why are they like they're an 8-year-old kid in school eating chicken nuggets? I have no idea. Some things aren't explainable. My RAS score for taste buds is very low. It's like at a 0.13. My relative appetizer score, I don't know what we want to call it. But my relative appetite score, maybe, I don't know. Either way, it's very low. It's not great. But for some reason, raspberries, terrible. Vinegars, vinaigrettes, dressings, terrible. Raspberry vinaigrette, amazing. Doesn't make sense of that. Doesn't make sense. But no, olives dipped in mayo, not one of those. Hummus, I love hummus. Love hummus. No problems with hummus. Charcuterie boards, great. Keep the olives off of them, please. Andy could sip on tea with lemon and honey or do saltwater gargles. Seems like a lot of work. I'm going to keep my kickstart and I'm just going to keep talking until I no longer can talk. All right. Kickstart should sponsor me. The two things that should sponsor me that do not, they're stupid. Mountain Dew Kickstart, because I drink it all the time. Live Lucky. I can't believe Live Lucky. What are you doing? I'm giving you free sponsorship every day, 365 days a year. Live Lucky. What are you doing? At least send me free hats. At least just give me free hats. Frustrating. I'm going to have to email them again soon. Put it on my to-do list. Live Lucky. I need a brand ambassador. Everyone start emailing Live Lucky and say, hey, you need to sponsor Andy Herman. Call Good and tell him to draft Ezeraku. I'll get right on that. That's also on my to-do list. Goody called me last night, said if I was okay with Matthew Golden. I said, yes. I said I would have preferred Ezeraku, but that's actually who he called in. When he said he called in the pick and it wasn't Matthew Golden, Goody and I had already decided on Ezeraku, but Mark Murphy went rogue. What can you do? Let's see. I'm going to get out of here pretty quick here, guys. Save that voice a little bit for tonight. I do like sugar. I do very much like sugar. I am a sweet tooth. And you do like anything but pizza and raspberry vinaigrette. I like a lot of things. I actually do like. I actually probably eat more tacos than anything else. I'm a huge taco connoisseur. I love cheeseburgers. Pizza, I obviously eat a ton of. Luigi's Pizza, I eat a ton of. A lot of cereals, a lot of scrambled eggs, Yeah, so different things like that. But tacos and scrambled eggs are probably two of my big go-tos. Fried eggs too. I don't eat really any vegetables. That's also probably a problem, but I really don't eat many vegetables at all. Go Pack Go last night was awesome being at the draft. That's awesome, Aaron. Happy you enjoyed it. Awesome to be at the draft last night. Love it. Aaron. Oh, that was the second one. All right. No, we're not doing pizza top with mayo and vinegar. I'm sorry if Luigi's makes a vinegar olive pizza. I'm not doing it. Would you trade Jair in our second to move up for Will Johnson? The impossible part, a couple things here about the impossibility of this is we don't know what the value is if there's any for Jair. Jair's going to have to pass a physical for that trade to come to fruition, which isn't going to happen before the draft tonight. And we don't know Will Johnson's medicals. He might be off of Green Bay's board entirely. There was some talk of that some people think that Will Johnson might not make it to a second contract. Like that's the concern. So that makes it very, very difficult to sort of gauge. Raz 6.45 for pizza, tacos, eggs, sugar, burgers, and raspberry vinaigrette. All right, deal. I love complex flavors and especially ethnic cuisine. I love Thai food. Pad Thai is one of my favorite foods in the world. So love Thai food. Mongolian, Moroccan. I love all of those. Obviously, Chinese food is great. There's a lot of different foods that I very much eat. I'm not huge on Indian food, but I do like the atmosphere. I like going to an Indian restaurant, sitting down, getting some naan. Like I enjoy all of it and I eat it for sure. Not maybe my favorite flavor profile, but like you can't go wrong with a good butter chicken, right? Like that's a iconic. Now I actually kind of really want butter chicken. That sounds actually freaking incredible at the moment. So yeah, Taste of India, well worth your time. American food is also good, especially brunch. I'm right there with you. Brunch is a food. It's a food group in and of itself. Bree Marble, be real here. This is why I said that Revel I could be the cornerback pick if Amos is gone. Very much so. Fancy Andy. This is all the super chats go to. It's just eggs. That's all it is. Super chats is just feeding my egg consumption. So I appreciate you guys. I'm getting a lot of protein and a lot of cholesterol. So I appreciate all the cholesterol and protein. Just know that every super chat is going directly into my egg donations that I am having every single day. So I appreciate that a ton. All right, friends. Maybe a couple more here really quick. I do want to just shout out Habish one more time. Green Bay fans know that building a great team is all about trust. If you're injured and need help, you can trust the team at Habish or Otier. They've built a national reputation with cases they've handled, influencing new laws and legal standards while maintaining compassionate hometown service to ensure you feel heard. I cannot speak to you enough about their compassionate hometown service. Getting to speak to a lawyer directly is legitimately amazing that you don't have to go through a customer service rep. When you call Habish, you're going to call a lawyer and talk to them directly. Their number is 800-242-2874, 800-2HABISH. You can find them online at habish.com. Habish or Otier, national reputation, hometown service. A huge shout out again to both Habish or Otier and Luigi's Pizza for all of their sponsorship and just partnership through the course of this weekend and, of course, all year long. Engine, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I do still eat Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts are amazing. I actually don't eat a ton of Pop-Tarts. Yesterday was a very rare Pop-Tart day. I probably have Pop-Tarts like 5 times a year. So very, very rare actually. But yesterday was a good Pop-Tart day. It was a very enjoyable Pop-Tart, I might add. All right, friends, I am going to get out of here. I cannot thank you enough for all the chats, the super chats, the conversation, everything. 6 p.m. tonight, Central Time. I will be back to talk to you guys all through rounds 2 and 3 of the draft. Hope to see you guys there. We will have live show tomorrow morning for the start of the draft as well. Live draft party. We'll cover probably round 4, maybe a little bit of round 5. Then my son has a soccer game and I'm going to be going to that and keeping the picks on my phone after that. Ross Uglum is going to be breaking down day 3 of the draft as soon as it's done. So keep an eye out for that. I think Ross just sent me a video as well. So we're going to, I'll put that up momentarily here. We've got tomorrow night, I'm going to be at Titletown Brewery. So I hope to see some of you guys out there, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Titletown Brewery. Free meet and greet. It's going to be a ton of fun. Really excited about that. And then Sunday morning will be, of course, a regular episode. Maybe we'll do something live on Sunday, but I might just be sleeping. I do have to go to Milwaukee for another soccer game on that day. So it's going to be a busy weekend, but we'll get into more of our routine here in just a little bit, but a lot of fun stuff coming up over the course of the next few days. I will see you guys very, very soon. Tonight, 6 p.m. Central Time. I'll see you there. Shout out to Habish and Luigi's. Until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.